5 albums you should listen to, number 3. We're starting off with good old black metal, although I guess it's not because it's a pretty fresh release. I believe it was released in 2023, but it's good. The band is called Nornír and the album is titled Skuld. Now something that I think is pretty funny in this band is it's based in Germany. The name is in Icelandic, and they have lyrics in English and Norwegian. In terms of sound, it's pretty modern sounding black metal. I think it sounds a little bit similar to Taka, and it really reminds me of Dark and Nocturne, and it really reminds me of Dark and it really reminds me of Dark and oh my god, and it really reminds me of Dark and Nocturne Slaughter Cult. Probably like 5th or 6th time me trying to say this, and it's a really fun release. It takes you into a whole ass journey, and after the short intro you immediately get into a great starting track with a lot of energy, and that same energy is sustained pretty much throughout the whole album. I have 2 favorites from this album. The first one is dedicated to The Night. The second one is Höst de Ville Kraft. Now it's time to come with something Icelandic. At second place we got Une Misère with their new EP, which is actually not an album, it's an EP, and it is titled Damn. They also have a full length, but I chose to not include that one here, rather the EP, because although I really like the full length titled Sermon, this one just slaps so hard. I tried to Google them because I have no idea what genre they are, and I got something like blackened hardcore, or I don't know. The point is, it's brutal, it's hard, it's nasty. I've also seen them live and they were great. The mosh pit on that show was fucking insane, and my favorite track from the album is not them. That is the title. Svart. Severe? Severe. The third album is Vltimas, and it's their second album titled Epic. Now just so you roughly know what to expect, in Vltimas plays the drummer of Cryptopsy, and on vocals we have David Vincent, who was a Morbid Angel. So that alone already sounds pretty promising, right? That's how one of my friends introduced them to me, because I was going to a festival where they were playing and I have never heard of them before, and one of my friends was like, hey, that band is really cool, you should probably check them out before going to the festival because I bet they're gonna be cool live. And I was like, okay. I listened to them a little bit, and it was nice and everything, but at the very first time it didn't like completely get me. It took a little bit more time, but when I saw them live it was so amazing. And it's really funny because although I wouldn't want every single band to play live like this, they were exactly like on an album. Like literally no mistakes, nothing. If you listen to the live versus the album, it's almost the exact same thing. It's literally the exact same thing. And I have to admit something, I didn't buy any of their merch, and I'm so fucking sad because I'm here a couple of months later, like, why the fuck did I not do that? I could have bought like a t-shirt or something, could have bought probably a patch. I don't know if they had patches, but I am making a Battle West right now and it would be pretty cool. So I think a problem is I started appreciating this band a little bit too late. But that doesn't take away from how good they are and how much I recommend you to also listen to them a couple of times, because apparently it doesn't really come through the first time, I think. When it comes to style, Metallum says it's blackened death thrash. I somehow found that really hilarious because that's literally like almost every metal subgenre together. And yeah, they're a little bit not like super experimental, I guess, but I would probably say like a little bit technical, I guess. And my favorite songs from the album are Exed. No. And Scorcher. The fourth album has a Swedish title, which is a language that I unfortunately do not speak, so I'm just going to try to pretend like I do. And the album is called Det Personliga Helvetets Spiral. I don't know, I don't fucking know. I mean, I guess Swedish is just like a little weird Norwegian, right? Right? And from that day, every Swedish person hated him till the end of time. And this album is from none other than Shining. Oh, sorry, did I say Shining? My bad, I intended to say Svart. Well, yeah, the thing is, this album sounds almost exactly identical to Shining. That's why the first time I ever heard this, I was like, this guy that was in this gotta be the biggest fucking Shining fanboy ever. And then I found out that this is a one-man band and the guy actually did play in Shining, so my bad, sorry. But yeah, it sounds a lot like Shining. The thing is, I really like Shining, so I really like this as well. It doesn't sound like a cheap copy of it, it's really good. But it's kind of like Shining with a little less acoustic stuff. If you know what Shining is like, this is that, but I feel like there's less of the more clean and calmer part, and more of just the pure aggressive negativity of Shining, and in this case of Svart. Which, don't get me wrong, I really like in Shining, that's what makes Shining Shining. But that's also what makes Shining shitty for working out, because every single time I go into the gym and I'm like, I'm gonna listen to Shining, because these songs, like this whole album is such a fucking banger. And then I go in there, banger, fucking destroying everything riff. Then I'm gonna do my second set and then some clean acoustic part comes and I'm like, fuck, now I have to skip this over. That happens a little bit less with this album. There's a lot of really hard, absolutely nasty riffs. But one thing that is in this album that I deem absolutely fucking despicable, and I never understand why a lot of bands do this, there is literally over 9 minutes of just random piano and keyboard music on the album. There are 2 tracks that are completely just, you know, typical tracks that you're just going to skip when you're trying to listen to a metal album. Listen, I'm not saying that you cannot put tracks like that into a metal album. Sometimes, for example, into the middle of an album where you have a lot of chaos and then you have a little bit of a calmer song and then also again a lot of chaos. It goes well, but not 2 songs and not for 9 fucking minutes of the album, which is 46 minutes. Like, it's literally almost 1/4 of the album. And I'm just not gonna listen to it, bro. It's like, if you wanna put in any piano or something like that, you have to do it like Shining does, for an example, on Halmstad with 106400. But we're gonna forgive that because it's a cool album, and my favorite song from the album is Die Allgedachtiges Abyss. And as the last album, we got one of my recent favorites that somehow nobody knows about this band. I don't know why. They're from Sweden and they play, can you guess it? Melodic death metal, because they're from Sweden. You get it? It feels like if you're a metal musician from Sweden, you have 2 routes that you can go down on. One is hating everything and everyone and telling everyone to hate everything and everyone, and making absolutely life force destroying music, and the other one is just melodic death metal. And since we already had Svart on the list, which was the first one, now we get the second one, which is gonna be King of Asgard, and the album is titled Fimbulvinter. Now, in terms of what to expect from the album, it's basically just a monomorph for cooler people. Not like the people who listen to a monomorph are not cool, this is just a monomorph for even cooler people. Honestly, it does sound a lot like a monomorph, but I feel like it does have a little bit of like a certain other kick to it that a monomorph somehow doesn't have, to me at least, but I really like a monomorph as well. But this is just a familiar experience, but not quite the same. Also, we got a little bit more faster black metal-ish blast beats sometimes. Now, there's actually a lot of songs on this album, and there's a lot of great songs on this album, and I have 3 favorite ones. The first one is Never Will You Know a Flash Again. The second one is my favorite of all of them, Snake Tongue.
We don't need your false salvation or your threats of God's damnation. Leave us be, it's peace you need.
And the third is Brethren of the North.
Immortality awaits in Asgard's hall, I guarantee.
Hopefully you found something new to listen to, and click here to watch the last episode of the series.